This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
The Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Smith.
And now, your host, Kyle Yeomans.
Today is Thursday, April 13th, 2023. We are 2 weeks out, 14 days exactly from the NFL Combine in Kansas City as the draft is rolling along.
My eye literally twitched a little bit.
Why was that the sound? We should be excited.
I'm pumped.
We should be pumped for this. We are the Draft Show presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time. Beamer, I don't believe you, honestly. I don't believe that you're not ready because every time we talk about a specific player, we have video coverage of him up on the board. Every single time.
We're trying back here. We're trying.
Well, you do a great job. And because of that, we're actually going to reward Beamer in the last segment. We're going to let him lead the Tell Me More with some of the prospects that he's had. We're going to have a Beamer's Choice Tell Me More.
Oh, no.
In the back. So that'll be our third segment today. So
okay.
he'll kind of lead
That's
things.
got me terrified.
Yeah?
Because I want to do a Stump the Beam. You know, can we stump him if he doesn't have, during our weekend draft coverage, does he not have tape on these guys? He's probably going to ask us players that he's putting in like number 300. We're like, well, I haven't seen this guy yet.
Hold up.
Thanks a lot, Beam.
Then that's when we resort to the beast.
Snapper tape at you, buddy.
I love you.
There you go. I like it. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Who'd you watch last night, Brian? Did you watch anybody?
Let's see who I did watch last night because there was several guys that I watched last night, and I know I did Eric Smith the other day. I finally got around to my the Missouri defensive end McGuire. Have we talked about him at all?
Isaiah McGuire.
So yeah, let me get him.
I watched him last night as well, sir.
He's a bit of a tweener, isn't he?
He is, you know what? To me, I think he could play defensive end.
Okay.
I think that he's one of those guys that when you watch him play, he's 6'4", he's 268.
Okay, so that's a good frame.
I would say that
Super strong.
Yeah, he definitely has that NFL ready frame, and he's thick. He's got length. His initial. I know Aisha is really big on this when you start talking about defensive linemen. That hand, the shock that you have, the ability to control. He is all about getting up the field. That is what he absolutely really wants to do. He's not really a guy that has, I don't think, a lot of really nifty type pass rush moves.
Yeah.
He's more of a bull rush kind of a guy. He's going to take the tackle. He's going to try and walk him. And, he's got to be a little careful in the run game because you'll see him get driven out of gaps a little bit with the way he plays. For 6'4", 268, you would think he'd be a little bit more stouter at the point of attack. But the majority of those rushes, like I say, are bull rushes, and he gets to it that way. But he does. He wants to get up the field. He wants to chase the ball. He can finish when he gets in position. And the length, I think, is super, super impressive. And that's why I think that the Cowboys are looking at. This was a late add to me because I didn't have this guy initially. And I started talking to some scout guys around the league, and they're like, what do you think of the McGuire kid from Missouri? And it was like Aisha, when she takes her little notes and writes guys down, I did the same thing on this guy, and this is what I saw.
I love everything you said. The length to me, when he uses his arms and he's able to extend in that bull rush, I mean, that's really what he loves to do. He plays with a lot of power, but Brian's absolutely right in terms of the gap integrity.
Yeah.
He can get caught a little bit upfield because, to his point, he's always trying to rush up, and I think sometimes his rush can kind of get a little wide of the quarterback at times, but there is a lot to like. High upside player. I think he's got the prototypical size and athleticism for the position. I'm a fan of his. I mean, in the 4th round range, if you don't end up taking an end and you want one there and you've kind of filled some of your other spots, maybe he's one of the higher rated players on your board. I think there's a lot of upside with him.
Yeah.
See, that's the guy, too. Again, excuse me, Aisha, real quick.
You're fine.
That's the guy that you fear about missing, that all of a sudden he gets picked and you should have watched it, but you're watching some 7th round guy that's probably not going to get picked. That's how you have to use your time. And, the scouting world, the media scouts sometimes are behind the real scouts. And luckily that, when I was fortunate enough to work with some real scouts, and there's like, no, man, you got to watch this guy.
Yeah.
You got to go watch
I was glad you recommended him because he was a fun watch, especially against Broderick Jones in that game against Georgia.
I'm sorry about that, Aisha.
No,
They had a good battle.
I didn't have a whole bunch of input. Y'all said everything y'all need to say about him, but I was going to say when you talk about his length and his arms, I wrote down has to find consistent leverage.
Yeah.
Just because, like you guys mentioned, sometimes he is so trying to get upfield that he can get overpowered. I've seen it a couple of times. And he's not powerful. Like, he has power. It's just that the leverage thing sometimes. I like how he disengages. That's one of my favorite things about him is how he disengages and how he wants to disengage. Like, he's trying to get these guys. He tossed the guy a couple times.
Yeah, with those arms. It's when he plays with he uses his reach to his advantage, and he doesn't do it enough. When he's able to extend and then scrape off, that's when he's kind of at his best. I did want to ask you guys, because I was watching Andrew Voorhees, the USC guard, who had that unfortunate
towards ACL in the combine
injury, right?
Yeah.
Where would you guys pick him? Because he's a heck of a football player, man.
I would just pick him.
Where at?
Huh?
What do you mean? Just whenever?
No, I don't know about. I wouldn't be afraid for the Cowboys. I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah.
But with this training staff that they have here and stuff, I would not be afraid to pick him. Maybe coming off ACL.
Yeah.
ACL.
Maybe in the 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that's fair.
I think that to me, there used to be a time in the drafting back in the day, and I don't know if they do it as much anymore. I mean, the last room I sat in was 2005, but we used to do this. The 4th round was like the criminal injured round. If you were a criminal, just being honest, just being honest.
This is where Brian would have gotten picked.
Yeah, this is. But the 4th round was always for the criminal guys and the injured guys. If you had something where you were thinking, okay, something happened, but we need to give this guy his due. Where would, that you bring up an interesting point because, and I use the word criminal, so it sounds terrible, and I'm about to say a player's name, but this is where a guy like Lyle Collins comes into play.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, Lyle Collins is in a draft, and Lyle Collins has first-round ability coming out of LSU. And then all of a sudden, things started popping up, hanging over his head about potential criminal issues. And all of a sudden now everybody's sending their security people to Baton Rouge to figure out what's going on. And nobody could really get a handle on it. So you didn't want to select Lyle Collins if you didn't have all the information. And so then it turned into, well, let's just go after him as a free agent. Let's just see, we're not, no harm, no foul here. If we get beat on this, if it works out, if it doesn't work out, we don't lose anything. So, but there was a time, like I said, where we would sit there in the 4th round, and if you knew all the information, but we're just a little bit, maybe a little bit hesitant, but you're like, nah, we need to take this guy. That 4th round was always the medical and always that round where you did that. But Lyle was one of those guys that you didn't have all the information to put him up on the board with confidence.
And we're by no means calling Andrew Voorhees a criminal and comparing him to criminals by any means.
He's injured.
It's just the injured guy.
The medical. That's
it's
what
the
it
medical.
is.
No,
it's hard.
but I'm sorry that I'm being really honest about how scouting works.
Sure.
And and these teams say that. It's in those war rooms you say things. I live this. So I'm just giving you an idea. Yeah. Am I calling these guys criminals? No. They're criminal things that they might have done.
Right. Some background stuff.
Stuff, yeah.
He's one of those guys, man. I think for the Cowboys, he's interesting to consider because you look at the guard position, like maybe he doesn't play for you this year. So is he going to come in and help right away? But the future of Zach Martin, how many more years is he going to play? Do you want to be able to take a guy who might be a day 2 pick in most drafts, could be a 2nd rounder, and you're able to get him early day 3 because of the injury and he falls? Because to me, the way that he's able to run block, the way that he's constantly able to finish blocks, he's always churning those legs, driving blockers back. I think his run blocking is better than his pass blocking, but he's super technical. He's very consistent. You know exactly what you're getting. And the ACL injuries, I don't think scare teams as much as they used to.
I was about to say, if you the Cowboys, you like, well, I don't know what that's going like right now, but I will say, whatever Terrence Steele is doing, hey, Andrew, can y'all get together and talk about it or whatever the case may be and see if we can get him on the same regiment? Because, I mean, yeah, ACLs are slowly but surely I remember growing up when I would see a guy tear an ACL in the NFL, I felt like his career was over.
Yeah.
I felt like his career was done, and I think that modern technology, also modern medicine, and just fantastic training, different regimens and stuff are starting to allow players to come back earlier. What would his timeline? Well, the normal ACL timeline. What are you looking at possibly getting Voorhees?
He would be. He tore it at the combine. That's early March, like late February.
I don't think you would have him for the year.
No, you would have him for the season.
It would be sometime in the middle of the next offseason.
This is a pick and stash, is what this is. This is a pick and stash.
See, and I think with that, I would be comfortable in the 5th. Give me a 5th round pick, and if that's the case, he was a 2-time All-American, and he played a ton of games for USC. He started as a freshman and continued through the COVID year and everything.
He was voted the best blocker in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can see
I think
it.
it's called the. Excuse me, I think it's called the Morris Trophy that they give to the best blocker in the Pac-12. But yeah, I mean, he's everything you really talk about in an offensive lineman. I mean, he's made a bunch of starts. He is the thing that he might struggle with a little bit is, and I don't know if you noticed this, he gets a little top heavy.
Yeah, he does.
With the way he plays, and so you wonder if you're a top heavy player, are you going to be able to recover like that against better competition? Are you going to be able, and not that the Pac-12 plays bad football, they've got outstanding players, but are you going to be able to recover if you get a little top heavy, if you get off balance and stuff like that? That's the thing. That's the thing that I only worry about him. But man, this guy is a blue collar, hard working guy. That, I mean, the knee bend, the foot quickness. There's a lot of things about him that you can surely like.
One thing that I need to go look at, but about Voorhees specifically, because I watched his 2022 tape and he's solid. He's a solid player. I thought the top heaviness was there. I thought the way that he reset was kind of iffy at times, but from a footwork standpoint, from a fundamental standpoint, he's a good blocker. The one thing I heard is that his 21 tape was better than his 22 tape, and I have not watched his 21 tape yet.
Okay.
And I heard it was much better. Maybe that's something that we look into, and maybe we push his grade up into that 4th round.
This guy, though, does have a history of knee problems.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you go back and you check his medical stuff, he's had a foot problem, he's had a knee problem. I'm sure he's played through a lot of things. And I think in 2018 he had a meniscus tear that he was dealing with too.
Yeah, I did
so,
see that.
So, you're talking about a guy that, as an offensive lineman, that the wear and tear on these guys is not great. Are you drafting a guy that's always going to be dealing with injuries like that to his knees?
That's something to look at. And then also, too, just – it sounds like the conversation of age has been a thing also through this draft in particular. And so, being a 5-year starter is great. But then when you possibly might miss your first year, how old is he going to be?
He's going to be 25 and a half by the time he sees his first NFL snap.
And I wonder if that matters to any of these folks
That's something that I remember, because when I was here, we drafted Terrence Newman out of Kansas State, and he was an older corner, and everybody was like, why would you take an older corner? And then he played like 18 years.
He played till he was 40.
Yeah, he played 18 years or something. It was crazy what Terrence Newman. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a cycle because of the COVID seasons and people going back. So I have a feeling people are going to say, oh, he's an older player. Well, half the damn draft is older too, because the guys that came back and the NCAA allowed them to take that extra year. So you're going to see some. There was a corner there was a 5-year starter that I looked at the other day. But there's, like I was saying, there's these guys that are playing 40, 50 games. Because
Southern Miss kid.
Yeah, because somebody I was looking at, but
Montre Braswell from a cornerback spot was born in '98, so he's going to be 25 very soon.
Wow. I'm saying the COVID seasons, it'll catch back up to where they no longer have the option. Yeah. But we're going to get through that cycle of those older players, and then they're going to be through. We're going to have some 5- and 6-year guys playing.
You also add in the new element of the NIL. And how college athletes, collegiate athletes can make money while playing collegiate
football. More willing
football.
To stay.
So it makes it more enticing to stick around until their senior year. They don't have to leave as juniors. They don't have to leave as redshirt sophomores. They can stick around and make their money at the collegiate level as well. Aisha, let's hear about somebody else that you watched. I want to try. My goal today is just to talk prospects. I just want to be war room.
Let's
just throw
do that.
These prospects out there. I've got a ton of Twitter on the 20 that are specifically tell me mores, and then we'll get to Beamer in that third segment as well. So Who did you watch most recently?
Oh, yeah. Last night I watched Jair Brown from Penn State.
Okay.
Ooh, okay, let's have some fun.
Yeah. I
Safety.
hadn't gotten a chance to look at him. I mentioned on Girls Talk, Boys Talk that I feel like safety is something that we have just totally neglected to talk about just because we don't – I think we don't consider it a need for the Cowboys early in the draft, but it is somewhere that I think they could address. But I feel like he's so active. He's an electric player. Like, there's an energy to him. He's so willing to help defend in the run too, and I love that about him. They use him in blitzing situations because he can get there. He has the speed and the tenacity. I think that his sideline to sideline can improve as far as coverage, but coming downhill, I mean, he's disrespectful. I think that I misspoke because I said that I liked J.L. Skinner. I felt like he kind of was more like a Dono. I see a lot of Dono in this guy and the way he plays and how vicious he plays. He's a tone setter in the same way.
Skinner's tough too. I think he had Skinner right as well.
Yeah. But I feel like with this guy, just kind of in comparison to when I saw Donovan coming out, I was like, okay, this guy's great downhill, but I didn't know if his coverage ability was fantastic. I think JL has better coverage ability than what I thought Donovan had coming out, in my opinion. But anyway, I feel like he impacts the game. I feel like he impacts the game because he's so willing to be everywhere, and it's hard to get him off the field. And that's one thing I'm noticing about a lot of these players that are good. They have this thing where they're like, especially DBs, they're like, I want to play nickel. I want to be able to play in the box. I want to be able to, because they don't want to come off the field. And he's one of those guys, listening to some of his interviews too, he does not want to come off the field, so he's trying to do as much as he can do.
He's got that dog in him.
Yeah, I think his angles, the further away he gets from the line of scrimmage, his angles can get a little questionable, but that's normal, right? I think, no offense, but I feel like those are things that safeties have to come and continue to learn. But 122 tackles and 10 picks in 2 seasons is nasty.
He's always around the line of scrimmage.
She completely nailed him. Seriously, and I mean, the first line out of my thing is a much better down player than he is back. He does his best to always want to be around the ball. And he's got a career of being around the ball. Yeah. And, he's aggressive to a fault. Yeah. And there's some times where he plays like it's a fire drill, where he's just kind of running around all over the place. And you're thinking, like, is he really seeing what's going on? Yeah. But then he kind of figures it out, and then he gets over to the ball. I think the body control and balance is going to have to improve a little bit in coverage. And I'm not sure that's his best suit. I think Aisha's right. Put him down the box, let him tackle, let him turn people over down there, and be the physical player. But man, he's one of those guys that kind of thrives in chaos. Is what I put about him as a safety.
I like that. I was a fan of his, but I think we're all coming back to the possibly nervous about him in coverage. Like you could see he can get exposed when he's asked to flip his hips and cover downfield, so he's at his best downhill filling against the run. But for the Cowboys, I do think they seem to always be looking at these safeties, right? Yeah. Because DQ, at least, while he's been here, and you can always have coaching turnover. We know that, so I don't know that you should always draft for a specific system or coach, but he likes using multiple safeties, and he'll use a safety as a linebacker. And Jair Brown is kind of one of those guys that he could fill, in nickel, dime packages. He could be essentially a sub linebacker. Yeah, absolutely. Player, because he's best when he's closer to the line of scrimmage. And I did put as well, if you weren't able to re-sign, because I watched him before the Donovan Wilson deal got done, if you couldn't re-sign Dono, he's a guy that could be a replacement there. So I agree with you 100% on him, Aisha.
So does the length worry you at all? He's 5'11" even, 203. And, I mean, we were talking about J.L. Skinner. Skinner's a different body type in terms of a safety because J.L. Skinner's 6'4", 210. So would you put Jair Brown up there with the Skinners and the Johnsons and the Battles that we've kind of mentioned in the top echelon of that safety class, or is he in another tier? Where would you kind of stack him?
I think it depends. Me personally, it depends on what you need him to come in and do. Granted, we understand that the big nickel is something that a lot of teams are starting to revert to, just given the fact that I just feel like, I will say the Cowboys' luxury that they have with their safeties is not the norm. I don't feel like it's the norm to be like, oh, let me put 3 safeties out there. So for the Cowboys, he would fit. Now, if you want your safety to do more coverage stuff, then maybe not. Maybe I think it depends on the system, personally.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
I think he's in line with his Skinner for me. Okay. Like I might have him a little bit better than Skinner in certain areas. Yeah, for me. I mean, because there's certain strength that I think Skinner has over Brown, but there's certain where I would take Brown over Skinner. I think overall I might like Brown a little bit more than I like Skinner. So I think he's right in that same tier, same conversation.
That's impressive.
Top 100, Brown 82, Skinner 88. I think there's a difference between the two players, and I have Skinner and Brown in the same round.
Yeah.
But I would take Brown over Skinner on my board.
That's interesting because we've been very high on Skinner throughout, and that's not dishing Skinner, but that shows just how high we are on Jair Brown and what he brings to the table.
Yep.
Zach, you got a player?
So I did watch the Mizzou kid. I watched Voorhees. How about Trey Dean, the safety from Florida?
Okay, I've seen split opinions on him.
Okay, so Trey Dean's not a guy. He's a day 3 pick for me.
Okay,
right. He's a guy that maybe they end up a 5th, 6th rounder. I've got a 6th round grade on him because I think this dude's going to be a special teamer, and then he's going to have to end up competing to get on the field as a starting safety. But he's got the football bloodlines. His cousin Ahmad Black was drafted by the Bucks in the 5th round in 2011. He's another guy, much like we were just talking about with Jair Brown. He's constantly around the football. He led the team in tackles. He can cover tight ends. I think he moves really well. He looks fluid. He's got a smooth back pedal. I would like to see him break on the football a little bit quicker. He's going to be in position to make plays, but he doesn't quite close fast enough so play recognition, he might be a tick late, but he's athletic, he's tough, he's willing to hit, can step in and cover the slot and carry receivers downfield. Now, he didn't test great at the combine, but he looks a lot more athletic and fast on tape. He will over pursue, doesn't always finish. So I think special teams, he's going to be an immediate starter, but he's probably going to be a backup safety initially, and then we'll see how his career develops if he can end up being a starter. But I like Trey Dean. I mean, he's a guy that also, you talk about a safety that's always around the football. He goes and finds it.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, to me, you're right, he doesn't play as fast, but when you look at the testing numbers, he's got elite numbers when it comes to like 3-cone drills and stuff like that. He's got 25 on the bench, so he's like
vertical's decent.
Yeah, he's got if you have quickness, if you have strength, he's got recognition too. He just doesn't have really good time speed. So that's the thing about him. I think the thing is, the length, the toughness, the movement part of him, I think, is pretty good with him. And if you're telling me that he's got the ability to the redirection skills and stuff like that because of the 3 cones and the shuttles and stuff like that, that's something that a lot of these NFL teams look at. They look at those shuttle numbers. They look at the 3. If a guy doesn't run fast, they're like, well, okay, it's not like he's deficient in all these areas. Mm-hmm. But I think you got him right where you do in the 6th round.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Okay. Did you get to see him at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
You're not a big fan?
No, I'm a fan. I just think he has normal safety stuff. Like, well, in my
he did nothing to wow you in any way.
No, I thought he was. I thought he was decent. What I'm saying is like even his deficiencies to me, I understand. So I'm trying to find the balance and evaluating. Like, is this something he can get better at? Is this
sure?
Is this? I ask myself,
the
is
ceiling,
this normal?
Yeah,
is this normal for a
yeah.
safety? And most of his weaknesses, besides like the lack of burst that I see him have sometimes, or lack of like angst he has sometimes, are normal things to me. And like we talked about, angles. Just he's a tackling machine, but you ain't gonna make every single one of them. So I like his range for the most part. I like his range, and he looks the part. Like you said, he looks the part. He looks like a guy, but I didn't. With the testing, you think the testing's going to help make him drop? Because I feel like what I saw on film was different than what I saw testing.
Right, I agreed on
the testing is going to give him a chance to be drafted probably earlier than we have him on our boards. But that's what I'm saying. If he was running a 4.6 and then it was also the testing numbers were poor, then you would probably say he's undraftable.
Sure. I mean, there might be.
Well, he ran a 4.75, which is not good.
Not
for
good.
The safety position.
But he looks to me. He played faster when I watched him, and they do have him play in covering the slot some, and I think that he can cover tight ends. I think for safeties now, when you're looking at him, especially this tight end class, as we've talked about it, that's super important. Like if you have a safety that you don't think can come up and cover a tight end, that's going to be a liability in your defense.
How can that's not a fast time for a safety.
No,
it was bad.
Not at all.
Terrible.
Yeah.
All the rest of his numbers, and Brian brought this up, the rest of his numbers are fine. Vertical was 36.5, which is that's a above average score. You've got 10.004 broad jump. You've got a 4.26 shuttle.
10.4 broad is what that was at.
Decent. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to think of how to say that without having the scouting number on there. But the numbers outside of the 40 were okay. And then he went to his pro day and he ran a 4.68.
Yeah.
But his 10-yard split was worse than it was at the combine. So it didn't really help out his case a whole lot. But Trey Dean is the curious case of the safety position here in 2023. All right. When we come back, we're going to do some Twitter on the 20, including a ton of questions. I've had 4 or 5 questions about a fullback. What fullback could be on the board for the Cowboys at some point in the mid-rounds? When we come back with more of the Draft Show.
Hey Cowboys fans, if you're looking for a full-time or part-time job, check out Liberty Tax, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. If you've got tax experience and want to help your community with their finances, you're the perfect candidate. No tax experience? We also offer in-person tax school courses locally. Liberty Tax has 79 locations across DFW and 2,300 offices nationwide. Learn more about our job opportunities at libertytax.com/hiring or call your local Liberty Tax office today.
Craving something flavorful? Replace that bloated burrito feeling with Smoothie King's new Power Meal Smoothies. With 3 delicious flavors like cinnamon banana, blueberry raspberry, and spinach pineapple, you can fill up on flavor, not calories. Each meal replacement smoothie is packed with 20 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, and 23 vitamins and minerals, all under 350 calories with 0 grams of added sugar. So next time you want something flavorful, swap fast food for a Power Meal Smoothie. Order today on the Smoothie King app. Smoothie King, the official smoothie of the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high level, I relied on my vision to see the field. As I started getting older, I noticed my vision wasn't as good, and I was getting frustrated from wearing my glasses all day. I went to Laser Care Eye Center, and Dr. G talked about all the options. Thanks to technology and Laser Care Eye Center, I can see near, far, and between. Don't fumble your vision any longer. Visit them at dfweyes.com and tell them Darren sent you. They got me back on my game.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Whether you're relaxing on a boat or hiking on a trail, both of those sound nice. Make sure you complete your look for any outdoor activity with Cowboys Columbia gear. Score tested, tough apparel at your local pro shop or log on to DallasCowboys.com. A Fanatics experience. See you out there, Cowboys
You cook crawfish
fans.
and that stuff, too.
See you out there.
Hey, there
that
you go.
See you out there was nice.
See you out there.
See you out there.
There you go.
That was nice.
Yeah, we'll see
How
you
do you
out
feel
there
about
on
those tight ends?
April 31st or whatever it is.
Huh?
How do you feel about those tight ends?
Man,
Darnell
come on,
Washington
man.
is off Aisha's board.
I didn't.
Done. Out of the question.
I was saying that might
She also
be a
hates
concern.
linebackers.
That might be a deterrent for some of these.
I hear you.
Some people. Some coaches.
I wish there was. I wish, but I also don't wish there was a mic that was hot in the break.
I'm gonna get
just
fired.
to see the conversation. That's what I'm saying. I don't wish because we would not have jobs. But if we had if we were able to keep our jobs and have that behind the scenes content, I think it'd be great. It'd be awesome. All right,
Brian's like, hell no.
Brian's like, stop talking.
Shut your mouth, Kyle.
All right, we had a ton of questions on some.
Oh, God.
Twitter on the 20. A little delayed, but that's okay. We'll get back
Sorry
after it
about
next
that.
week. You're good. We had a ton of questions on Twitter on the 20 with the fullback position. And there was one that specifically has piqued the interest of Cowboys Nation. His name is Hunter Lipke from North Dakota State. That's how you say it. Hunter Lipke. But he's from the Bison, North Dakota State. Decent player. Has anybody watched him? Anybody think about how he could fit into this mold? Because Mike McCarthy has been known to love himself some fullbacks, and this is one that some people have as high as the 4th or 5th round.
What? I've heard about him. I have not watched him myself yet.
I probably saw a little bit of him when I was watching Cody Malk.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yeah.
You know what? To me, it's funny that you say this about the fullback, and we should probably. I know me. I should probably do this. I have not seen this guy play.
No, me either.
And and to me, it's one of those things where here I am. I'm preaching about you're missing guys or whatever, and I don't know. He uses a fullback, right? He ain't picking a fullback in the 4th round. I'm sorry. I just don't see that.
Are you drafting a fullback, or is that a UFA guy?
Well,
right?
To me,
I would rather it be a UFA.
It might be a thing where you're looking, like you say, you're looking at traits and stuff in the 6th and 7th round. And I'm not trying to make excuses why I didn't see the guy. But right now, I'm sitting there trying to figure out, 22 running backs. Probably need to figure out one fullback. So I could probably need to do 1 or 2 kickers, too.
And Brian, you know this better than us. When's the last time the Cowboys selected a fullback?
Right? I don't know if they have.
I don't think they have.
Two decades.
So maybe like Robert Newhouse.
We're trying to we're trying to cram and get. I'm trying to get to a minimum of 200
it's not an
guys.
Excuse.
I'm almost there.
You need to look at the guy.
I'll look at Hunter Lipke tonight.
You need, absolutely.
So here's my scouting report that I had on him for the Draft magazine, because I liked him at the Combine, or not the Combine, excuse me, the Senior Bowl. In the Senior Bowl tape that he was at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, he was pretty impressive. I said he moves exceptionally well without the ball in his hands, takes the right angles to make a block in space, and he runs crisp routes and keeps his footwork contained as he gets moving, can nearly play every position behind the line of scrimmage, except for quarterback, of course. But I said, when he has the ball in his hands, there's just no yards after the catch factor whatsoever. He'll labor into defenders instead of trying to avoid them. He also gets pushed off the line of scrimmage by bigger defenders when he tries to set a block whenever he doesn't have momentum behind him.
Yeah.
So whenever he's just at the line of scrimmage, he's coming up, he needs a head of steam to really latch on to a defender and let him ride backwards. I said not a tight end contingency. He runs the routes. He's able to create a little bit of separation, but as soon as he catches the ball, like, he's a sitting duck.
Which makes me sad.
That's about it.
Which makes me sad because I actually did. I glanced at him and I said lateral quickness ? So that's kind of
same
I
deal.
glanced at him.
Yep.
Dang it, that's not good.
I know. And then injury bug. I said injury bug.
Is he a hurt guy? ?
He's dealt with. He's had a couple. I think he's had a surgery.
He had a left shoulder. And he missed the final 5 games of this past year, and he had some sort of undisclosed injury in 2020 through the COVID year.
And the only thing, and it really, like, Kyle, you made some good points about him, just kind of what you saw from him. When you guys go back and see, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but when the only reason I would take a fullback in, like, the 4th or something, or you looking at a use check. Everybody and their mama
wants to find
the next Kyle use check. And with the lack of lateral quickness, it kind of takes that away. I don't think that use check is just, but the fact that you can use him in so many different ways and in open space. Yeah. Not just coming downhill all the time. It's not always just him coming downhill. So I feel like that lessens his I don't like the I don't like the stock word, but it lessens his draft stock with the fact that there's not use check like qualities all the way around it. If I'm gonna draft a fullback in this game, he gotta have
some of that.
You want a freak athlete that can be a mismatch for you, that can get involved in the passing game. He's also going to be a good blocker. I mean, I like the question because I think it's challenging. It's challenging me to be more like, all right, let me pay more attention to the fullback position, because that's one that I think we kind of gloss over. Yeah. When it comes to the draft.
I do every time. Yeah. I do every time
because
I wasn't even having him on there.
Yeah. I do it every time because to me, like I said, you get affected by. There's other ways to get around. I'm sure if somebody said, "Hey, have you seen this kid from North Dakota State, the fullback?" That's like, "Oh no, I haven't." Oh, well, you need to watch him. That kind of thing.
There you
go. And I do. I mean, I feel like that somebody could take him. I will say this: if he has a history of shoulder problems and he's a fullback,
you're out.
You're not going to be considered very high, because that, to me, I mean, that's your livelihood. You are going to be a battering ram at the point of attack, and if you're dealing with shoulder and neck issues as a fullback, that's not going to get you on many draft boards.
Yeah, I think some of the other fullbacks that we'd look at, Javon Williams Jr., Southern Illinois, is a senior. Iowa's got a kid, Monte Pottebaum. that could be under consideration. But again, I don't know if these guys are going to get drafted. They might be undrafted rookie free agents that the Cowboys could end up bringing in. Maybe Lipke is a guy that does, but I'll watch him tonight. I'll take a look at Lipke.
I've heard Jax Deneen was kind of impressive from Kansas State. That's another fullback that could kind of be in that realm. All of these guys are probably undrafted free agents except for Lipke. I think he's the only draftable
That's the one
guy.
we need to take a look at.
And Cowboys Twitter has been on him. They've sent multiple questions about Lipke. So there's our homework assignment.
Because you look at John Kuhn, who is so good in Green Bay with Mike McCarthy. So I can see McCarthy maybe wanting to get a fullback and one that he likes a lot and trusts.
Yeah, no more tight ends as fullback.
No more of that.
Or the
H-back.
The McGovern package.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Hulk package.
Could we see that completely go away? I will say that sometimes it was successful when there was a tight end.
Yeah.
But maybe teams switch to doing something like that. But that's kind of sad. Actually, kind of makes me kind of sad because growing up, fullback was a thing.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
You know, there was a point in football that fullback was like, if you didn't have one, it was looked at as a weak point in your run game. And so now that the game's transitioned to.
Well, it's so spread, right?
Well, this organization has a great history of fullbacks. I went all the way back to Robert Newhouse in the 70s. Daryl Johnston,
of course.
What he's done through those Super Bowl runs and stuff like that. So, absolutely, it's a depending on how your scheme is and how you run the ball. That could be a big reason why you have success doing it.
All right. Next Twitter on the 20 question. Tell me more about Jackson Player, defensive tackle out of Baylor. Has anybody seen Jackson Player? If you haven't, well, we can move on to the next name. Anybody seen him? No.
You got him? You're a Baylor guy.
I am a Baylor guy, but
if
no,
you got him, go.
I don't have him. He actually went to my high school. I will tell you that.
He's
a
Midway?
Yeah,
Waco Midway kid?
Waco Midway grad.
Wow.
I watched a lot of Siaki Ika, from Baylor. I watched a lot of him, and I just kind of caught a glimpse of Jackson Player. I don't know a ton about him, even though he did go to my high school. What about Caillou Blue Kelly from Stanford?
Now we're
cooking.
Now we're cooking. This is Stanford was not very good at football this year, and that was one of the reasons why my buddy Dave Shaw resigned. So, but they do every once in a while Stanford will put in they do have a great history of being able to come up with these guys that are. Like with Shaw, they were super, super, super tough. I'm trying to get to my notes here. I mean, our system here at the Cowboys, we're having our internet's not.
Blame the Wi-Fi. Here comes
great.
Krusty over here.
Have you seen this player?
What's the name?
Caillou Blue?
Yeah, Caillou Blue Kelly. Yeah, the corner.
Yeah.
Good player. Now, him versus Jordan Addison.
I've got him right here then.
Go for it, then I'll fill in the blank.
Yeah, he's a thin-looking player on tape and super competitive in the way he plays. But he'll line up on both sides of the field. He's comfortable playing at depth or playing up tight. He can run with this guy. He has really good hand use and skill to maintain his position while moving. I thought he did a really nice job of reading the route as it developed. He tracks the ball well enough, has a feel for how to high point or play in the air with his, or he could play with his offhand. There were times where he was denying the football. It's the thing that he showed the ability that he could be a physical tackler, and he's more willing to throw his body around to bring a ball carrier down. But sometimes he doesn't wrap up. It's just like throwing his body in there. He did try and tackle. You watch him against Jordan Addison from USC, and Addison did break free from him for a touchdown, but that was it. I thought he had a smooth, relaxed pedal playing off. He can really come out of his break when driving. Type of player that can carry his man all over the field. He does compete, and I think that's the thing that's probably his best trait. He's 6'1", 191 too. So that's the redeeming quality about him as well.
I thought he had really good closing speed to make plays against screens and hot routes. You can tell opposing offenses showed a lot of respect to him. They didn't want to challenge him a lot. Now he will get blocked, but he's competing. Like he's constantly fighting back. He'll get shoved. He's going to shove right back. He's got some dog in him at corner, which I'm always looking for. I think he can improve as a tackler. You mentioned he got beat downfield against Addison. I saw that as well. He did give up some plays. I think he lacks elite speed for the position. I think he's at his best when he can get physical with the receiver. He stays in phase a little bit better. He'll give up some inside leverage so he can be susceptible to some in-breaking routes, but he doesn't get fooled by a lot of jukes and dance moves at the line of scrimmage. He's got clean feet off the line is one of the notes that I put. I think he's probably a third-round range for me is Caillou Blue-Kelly. If you end up not taking a corner, day one, and then you're looking at day two, if you want to go tight end in the second round where we think there's going to be a run or another position, Caillou Blue-Kelly is a good corner to take in round 3. I'd be very happy with him.
I've now got 142 guys I've stacked, and so he's number 99 on my board. So he's right inside the top 100 for me.
Right inside there. Caillou Blue-Kelly to keep an eye on.
And the name's great.
It is a great name.
It is a dope name.
What about City So? Speaking of a great name, City So, offensive guard from Eastern Michigan. Peter wanted to know a little bit more about that.
Dang it, Peter.
Small school offensive guard.
I think I got this guy done.
Yeah, go ahead. You could talk about him. I'll fill in.
I have not seen him, so I got two guys that I need to watch tonight.
He had a
That's a part of the reason, I just want to throw names out.
No, this is good.
Well, hopefully you throw names out that we've seen.
Sorry, I'm trying. City So, what you got, Brian?
He was a starter at left guard for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. He's a massive man who tested very well at the combine.
Sure did.
And the numbers don't always translate into the film study. I would not call him a fluid mover, but he's powerful. He can get movement when he comes off the ball. His mass is difficult for opponents to deal with. Keeps the feet moving at contact in the running game, adequate to find the targets on those short pulls. He uses that full extension. He'll roll his hips to set his anchor when he's bull rushed. His punch is generally accurate and well-timed. He pops into a straight leg attack sometimes off the snap. You got to be worried about him being a little tall. But he there's some angle issues that he has, and he's, the body control for the extension of the block could be a little bit of a problem for him. So, he played a ton of snaps at Eastern Michigan. He's a Canadian kid, so I think he's going to need some serious technique work, but size makes him worth the shot.
Yeah, and I also said you said he played a lot of snaps. I had that he's durable.
Yeah,
he's durable. Like the guy. He played a lot while he was there. He didn't have a lot of injuries. And then you mentioned the guard/tackle flex with him, which is important as well. I felt like he was really stout at the point of attack, like you were talking about. His punch is pretty vicious. But I also felt like what else? I didn't like that he oversets. He oversets.
Okay.
He has to almost compensate because he's probably, when you overset, you're probably a little bit worried about speed or him having to deal with that speed.
And that's more because, to me, of his feet.
Right.
More because of his feet, not his hands. So, again, things he can work on. Him and John Gaines from UCLA.
Yeah.
I see a lot of similarities in their play. They both, if I'm not mistaken, tested pretty well at the combine. So those are two gentlemen that I wanted to bring up today anyway because they were a little farther down the guard depth chart, but I know that there's a possibility that we maybe are looking at that.
Tell me a little bit about Gaines, because if the Cowboys don't go guard early, that could be a big-time pickup in the middle rounds for sure.
Hold on, let me get to my notes on him.
I got him if you want to.
I'll fill in. Go ahead.
All right, John Gaines at UCLA. He's the left guard for the Bruins. He appears to be much larger and thicker on tape than his 303 is what he weighs. He tested as the best guard at the combine. But again, he doesn't really play as well as he tested. There are times where he's off balance. He struggles to keep his feet. The body control and balance could be a little bit all over the place with this guy. He tends to struggle on the second level when he's asked to get in those positions. He does have some stoutness as a pass protector, but the more that he has to move, the more trouble he has staying connected with the rusher. He looked like a highly intelligent player, an assignment sound type of a guy. He started at center, at guard, at tackle, so you kind of like him for the flexibility.
Yeah.
I feel like he could find the targets and stuff like that, but again, it's that sustain with him, hitting those landmarks and things like that. I think that, you watch him, he tends to slide off opponents in the running game for the way that he blocks. So that's kind of what I think about John Gaines. I like the fact that he can play all three spots.
Yeah, that position flex is going to help him.
He's got some, but like I said, there's a little bit of that where the technique stuff is going to be a little bit of an issue for him.
It's so crazy that you mentioned that he tested better than any guard at the combine, and I feel like he showed like speed and athleticism and all this stuff, but like you said, like it isn't something that just translates. It translates, but it doesn't, because you need more power, and I don't think that he plays. I know that's your thing.
Yeah.
I don't think he plays with as much power as City, so especially in the run game. Now, I think his pass game sets are far better, and I feel like in a zone scheme he might work, but his hands are low.
Yeah.
His hands aren't good.
His hands are low a lot, and that's why he's late with his punch a lot of the time, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. So, those are, like we were talking about, those are two dudes, though, that I was like, maybe with some coaching and then some, I feel like there's more upside with City.
I've got both of them in the 5th. I have Gaines over the top of myself.
Okay. You think so? Okay.
And I both got them in the 5th, but they both fall out. They'll both likely fall. Well, they'll be in the 150 range for me when I'm starting to stack them. I don't have them yet in my 150 mix.
It's a process.
Yeah, but the thing about, because I'm worried about having to add a fullback or some BS like that. But come
on, Lipke, let's go.
I don't know. No, you get to a certain point, and you're like, okay, I'm not going to look at a player that's going to be in the top 150. I just don't feel like that. I just don't feel like so. I've got to a point where I've got him stacked. But 5th round, Gaines, Sal, that's how I got him right there.
Okay, I've got another guy. You're speaking of upside, but also still kind of a bit of a risky pick just because of some of his past. Zach Evans, running back from Ole Miss. And I know Zach knows this guy because you and I used to cover him in the studio back when he was playing high school ball in Texas. But he went to Ole Miss, started at TCU, was there for a couple of seasons, transferred to Ole Miss thinking that was his best shot to get to the NFL. Tell me more about Zach Evans and what he brings to the football field.
He's got a mean, stiff arm. He hits the hole, with vengeance. There's not a lot of wasted motion with him. He doesn't dance around. He's got impressive acceleration in the open field. I think he fits best in an outside zone scheme. I think he'd work really well in San Francisco or in Miami.
Wow.
That kind of system where we've seen like a Raheem Mostert or North Texas zone Jeff Wilson have success. He's a good safety net out of the backfield. You don't see a lot of route combination from him like you would at Kenny McIntosh out of Georgia, but he's safe. You can check it down to him in the flats. You rarely see him get knocked backwards. He plays behind his pads. He lowers his shoulder to finish runs, much like we've seen here with Ezekiel Elliott over his career. Sometimes would like to see him make the first guy miss more, but he's overall a very solid runner. He did have a fumble when I watched him against Troy where he breaks a tackle in the backfield and another defender knocks the ball out from the backside. So he might need to improve, the possession and ball security a little bit. But, Zach Evans is a heck of a player. You see the talent, but you do need to make sure he checks off all the background and personality traits that you want, because that's been something that's carried on. He's played at 3 different teams in college, and that was an issue for him. He got benched in the state championship game when he was in high school.
Yep.
This guy's player 101 on my board. And I'll say this about him. He is not afraid to lower that shoulder and deliver a blow.
No,
he's always plowing for extra yards. He's got some run where he was able to grab the edge, but I think he's kind of a little bit more of an inside runner. And he locates the hole, makes the cut. He runs with some power. He could be a hard guy to bring down. I felt like he had a little bit more power than he did speed. You saw some long runs, but not game-breaking type runs. I just don't think he has that type of speed. But the balance was really good. There's a snap or two where he was able to jump over a defender. He had some carries where he breaks tackles in the open field. I did not see, I don't know, I was maybe the games I was looking at, Auburn, Arkansas, Kentucky, catching the football and stuff like that. You guys would have to help me on that one, but that I noticed. But when the ball did come his way, he was able to make the catches. So, he's impressive with the bulk and the power. He's the type of back that just kind of wears you down with the way that he runs.
He absolutely does. He gets better as the game goes on.
Yeah, I said he was decisive. I, again, don't know if those are the right words to use, but he's a decisive runner. If he sees it, he's going to go. He's going to take some risk. He's going to take some chances. He's going to try to make – he's and like you said, he's not going to try to make a lot of guys miss. He's decisive. He's like, no, this is it for me. I'm going to – I'm running through
foot in the ground,
right
upfield,
now.
boom.
Exactly, absolutely. And one thing that I also, too, how did y'all feel about him in pass pro?
When he wants to, I think he can do it. There's just times I think he makes some business decisions.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to make now, like it's super cliche, but I'm starting to make a bigger deal out of pass pro in this league now with running back, because even more than I want to say 2-3 years ago, like, it matters because of how much the ball's being passed around. Like
for your ability to stay on the field too.
Yeah,
you're looking for a 3-down back.
Yeah. With offensive line play, you need a guy that's gonna, and that's one of the things that I kind of was like, sure. And then, like you said, the off the field stuff is things that you want to check out on. But he was a 30 visit, if I remember. He was a guy that reportedly a 30 visit. So maybe the Cowboys are looking at maybe taking a chance on the dude or just seeing what he got, because he is that powerful, dip your shoulder, I'm gonna make you pay runner, and that's something that maybe you're lacking right now.
And you do your background work and you kind of see what type of guy he is, bring him in, have him one-on-one, and kind of do your due diligence, and that's what that scouting department across the way has been very good at over the last couple of years. All right, when we come back, it's Beamer's Choice. We're going to have him give us some Tell Me More. We're going to get to some more prospects. We've already hit 10 so far in this show.
Let's go.
Deep dives into prospects here on the Draft Show when we come back right after this.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com is one of the most trusted ways to buy, sell, and trade crypto. Whether you're always on the go or stay closer to home, Blockchain.com is just a few taps away. Put the power of crypto in your pocket, so no matter where you are, you can trade on your terms and build a crypto portfolio to fit your life. For crypto pros, rookies, and anyone in between, Blockchain.com makes it easy to own a piece of the future. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team.
In a stressful world, Lincoln provides balance and calm amidst the chaos by creating sanctuaries that move you through the world with ease. Our vehicles make your time richer and more uplifting with human-centric design, intelligent technology, and powerful performance. As the official luxury vehicle of the Dallas Cowboys, driving a Lincoln is just another way to show your team pride. Experience our full lineup of luxury vehicles, including the Corsair, Aviator, Navigator, and Nautilus at Lincoln.com.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, sinking, and toasting Miller Lite and 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Back here on the Draft Show, where you can now overcome your taxiety today with Liberty Tax. Proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Book an appointment today at libertytax.com/Cowboys. Brian Broaddus, Zach Wolchuk, Aisha Morrison. I'm Kyle Yeomans, and we've got Chris Beam in the back, who has done an absolutely fantastic job with his team of, let's say, B-roll scouts. How about we put it that way? They're B-roll scouts.
The beam roll.
The beam roll. I like that. The beam roll. He's put together hundreds, and I mean hundreds of highlight tapes over the last couple of weeks. So over these last couple minutes of the show, we're going to have him choose to tell me more about these specific players. And I believe, Beamer, you're going to start with one that has a connection inside the building, right?
I am, because I'm going to start with Deuce Vaughn, and here's his B-roll. I'm going to put his B-roll up for everybody.
Running back from Kansas State.
Oh, gosh, he's amazing.
He's fun.
You like.
What do you do with Deuce Vaughn?
Okay.
He's so small. You're 40 times where you run a 4, 5, 7 or something like that.
Yep.
But it seems like he makes plays all over the field.
Oh, he does.
What do you do with Deuce Vaughn?
See, here's the issue with Deuce. We were just talking about the pass blocking, right? Deuce Vaughn's not going to give you that. But Deuce Vaughn is just a playmaker. I mean, you talk about a guy who can make plays. He would have been your prototypical, I think, third down back in several years ago, where you're talking about a guy who can make plays out of the backfield. He can catch it. I mean, he's capable of running routes from the slot. You see him do that at Kansas State. He's elusive. He carried a massive workload in college. So despite the size, to me, durability is not a question. But he's just you blink and, oh, my gosh. I mean, his start-stop quickness just jumps off the charts. Low center of gravity, obviously, because he's smaller, so he's difficult to see. I think there's sometimes maybe he'll try and break a run outside, or he'll take angles where you're thinking, no, just cut that up there instead, and he leaves some yards on the field. But you watch Deuce Vaughn, he might be one of the most exciting players to study in the entire draft class. It's the size that's going to knock him. And then you mentioned Aisha, the pass blocking ability. I don't think he's got that.
The only thing that's, to me, that would knock him is the size.
Yeah.
Like, right? I mean, when you look at the player and what the player is capable of, the receiving capability, the speed, the burst, he's a former soccer player, so he's a guy that has a lot of durability and awareness, and vision, awareness.
Intelligent.
And he's an intelligent guy, and even to a point to where he avoids, similar to Zeke, how Zeke did, like he avoids a lot of the low hits that people try to take on him because he's just aware of where he is on the field. And so that to me, the only thing that's going to limit him, or people will be nervous about, is his size and the durability because of the size or whatever.
Yeah, I think you guys make great points about him as a player. I think you have to have a plan for, if you draft him, you have to have a plan of, when you watch him on tape, the offensive coordinators and the running back coaches and those guys, they're like, listen, he could fit into this package. I mean, you can watch Kansas State tape and figure out ways to use him.
Yeah.
I love his toughness. I love how elusive he is. I think there's an advantage to him being short, actually. When you do talk about him running behind bigger NFL offensive lines,
hard to see him.
And it's hard to see. And all of a sudden, he squirts out the other side, and it's already a 6-yard gain. The guy catches the ball well. He's super tough. He comes from a football family. There's so many positive things. Listen, let's not act like he's not the only short, productive player in this draft.
Nope.
All we've done is watch short, productive players. Flowers, Dell, this guy right here. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to have a vision and an idea for what you want to do with this kid. And he plays big-time football and has been productive doing it.
And we talked about yesterday the returning ability.
That's what I was about to say, too.
Yeah, Deuce Vaughn's the guy that can give you that. If you want him to be a kick and a punt returner, I believe he could be very successful at that.
And also, you mentioned, super important for running back, his ball security is top notch.
It's impressive.
It's top notch. He's talked about how much work he's put into it, and just to add that to the trifecta of the things he does well.
Yeah, he's in the 0 percentile in height and arm length. He's in the 1 percentile in weight. And he's in the 30 and 32 percentile in bench press and broad jump.
And I draft the heck out of him.
Yeah, but you look at the tape, and the tape is magnificent.
Figure it out. These coaches make millions of dollars. Don't tell me the kid can't play. I watched him play at Kansas State.
He can play.
And he could play. And so, kind of figured out. But then again, Bill Parcells is in my ear going, you draft an exception, you have a team full of exceptions. I think this is a good exception to have.
Absolutely.
There you go.
I would absolutely like to have this exception.
2 more points, and this backs up the durability that you guys are talking about. And Zach brought it up initially. 235 carries in 21. He followed that up with 293 carries in 2022. That's nearly 300 carries in a collegiate football season. That's unbelievable how much of a durable running back he is and how much they utilized him at Kansas State. Led the Big 12 in all-purpose yards in 21, and he led the FBS in all-purpose yards in 2022. He can play. Go get you a guy. What's next on our list, Beamer?
My second player is Division II Player of the Year, which is Caleb Murphy.
Oh, this is Ferris State, right?
Ferris State.
Ferris State.
That is right. Ferris State.
Yeah, okay.
They're the Bulldogs, right?
Yeah, you're about to see some pretty crazy. This guy he set a record for sacks in that division. And what's interesting about this cat, he was 254 pounds at the combine, and on his pro day he weighed 263 pounds is what he did. And you can see right there when you're watching, if you're able to, the highlights of him. He has the ability to get around blockers and get around them quickly and kind of leaves them in their dust in the way he plays. He's a really, really good finisher around the ball. You can see the ability to chase. There's the dip, and then now get to the quarterback, balls on the ground. If he has a little bit of a weakness, they kind of talk about his playing strength is what they do. So to me, I would be a little bit mindful about that. Let's see if he's going to be able to get around some of these NFL. We'll be all watching preseason games, and it'll be in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden this kid will come flying because the tackles are not very good, and maybe that's where he has an effect. But I kind of feel like the fact that he went from 254 to 263, he feels like he needs to get a little bit bigger for the position, but the numbers are surely there for him.
So what do they always say about these Division II, Division III prospects? They better look like a man amongst boys.
Well, they better walk on water is something I always stood.
That's another one, too.
Yeah, and but this guy, like I said, he's been to a couple of different schools, Grand Valley State and now with Fair State. And, he dealt with the COVID thing and the pandemic. When they play that in that division of football, they just totally canceled the season. So he lost that right there. But, you could see right here, I mean, he is a very, very productive player. There's no question about that. He's, again, it's going to be about figuring out, developing some pass rush moves and finding a way to use his length and that quickness that he has to be able to finish like he did at this level.
Yeah, he was able to finish those former accountants off pretty significantly against the Colorado School of Mines out there.
You can't talk about him that bad because I think he played against Cody Malk a couple times.
Did he? Okay, there you go.
Don't talk about him that bad.
Best player in the draft. 6 fumble recoveries last year, and then he had 4 recoveries as a junior. Wow. I mean, he is always around the football.
Okay. Keep an eye on Caleb Murphy. There's a name that you didn't think you would hear in the draft process. How about that? One more, Beamer. We got time for one more before I think you will actually kick us off the air.
Oh, we got all day on this.
Ooh, let's go. All right, we got a couple more.
For me.
Wait a minute, you got guys that have to do a radio show in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so I'm going to give you this. The only reason I'm going to give you this guy is because every time he catches a touchdown, he always tells the DB that he's too small. So this is going to be Grant Dubose from Charlotte, wide receiver.
Okay, Grant Dubose from Charlotte, All-Conference USA, couple different times. I like what he brings to the table. I'm trying to pull up my notes on him. Hold up.
I'm looking. I've got computer slowness here myself.
Video is up. He's
6'2".
He's a big boy. I got to see him actually in person against North Texas a couple of years ago.
Oh,
go Mean Green.
He makes some plays down the field. He kind of feasted. Now Jalen Darden was an absolute star in the game as well. But I mean, he's a guy that just makes a ton of plays down the field.
Here's your touchdown catch with watch. He just throws up. Yeah,
boom,
he's small.
Little boy.
It reminds me a little bit of what Jalen Tolbert did at South Alabama last year. Wow. He was always kind of talking about,
And here's another one. Watch this.
Yeah.
And he's going to look at this guy and go, yeah, buddy, you too small.
Yeah, buddy, you too small.
Well,
he's going to celebrate too on you, boy.
Well, no, like you say, when you watch the highlights of him playing here, the guy has got he's got the size. He clearly has the size, and that's something that in this draft we talk about this. How many? I'll bring it up again. How many small wide receivers? The tall wide receivers we don't talk nearly enough about. Mingos and guys like that. A guy at Tennessee that plays opposite
Tillman.
We're not talking about guys that have that size and that length and stuff like that. Great job right there adjusting to a ball thrown over his head.
Yeah, he's always doing a little
ball. Watch this.
Yeah.
He catches the ball.
Catches it.
Good
turns
catch,
around.
buddy.
Yeah.
And
you're too small. Yeah.
Y'all are crazy. No.
So that's what jumped off the page for me.
But if you're looking for, like I say, this is where you start to find where are the guys. If you're one of those teams that's looking for a receiver with length and productivity and the ability to adjust, this is the type of guy that people will go and work on and say, okay, we'll get. Why are we looking at all these short guys? Well, let me give you a tall guy. Here's a guy that actually has some really some good production for you.
Maybe that's a topic of conversation next week because we have talked about some of these smaller receivers and how much it is a change in philosophy. What about the guys we're not talking about that are maybe not as technically sound as some of these smaller wideouts?
Yeah,
but they are the size advantage.
They
have the size advantage to their game.
That's just crazy how much things have changed.
It's true.
I felt like at one point in time, if you didn't have a 50-50 ball guy in your receiving core, you were wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's still the case, but it's just crazy to think that this is not what you're looking for.
The true possession type of receiver.
Yeah, possession receiver, 50-50, adjust to the ball. Like you want that, but you may have one of those guys in your receiving core and not multiple now. You need speed.
Mm-hmm. Got to. Have to.
And
get
agility.
that speed.
Yes.
Yep, that team speed is huge. We've seen that as an emphasis lately. All right, That is it for us today on the draft show.
Got to look at fullbacks tonight.
Got to look at some fullbacks. Hunter Lipke out of North Dakota State. Maybe Caleb Murphy, edge rusher from Ferris State as well. But we've got a couple to keep an eye on. Got through 14 prospects today, everybody.
There you go.
That's pretty good.
Let's go.
And deep dives on all of them, too. By the way, Chris, in the middle of that fullback segment, told us the last time the Cowboys drafted a fullback, Sean Chappis, 2011, 7th round.
Yeah,
out of
Sean
Georgia.
Chappis.
That was the last time. So
Don't think
not
he made
too
the
long
team.
ago. I mean, that's 12 years ago now, but still,
What?
not too bad. Sean Chappis.
Sean Chappis.
Yeah, there you
Okay.
go.
Probably
Georgia.
teaching PE somewhere.
Bye, Brian.
Come on.
Let's get out of here. Let's go. It's time to go.
We have 3 more shows.
Teaching PE now.
3 more shows until draft day.
That's it?
3 shows. And we've got some surprises in every one of the shows. We're going to have some fun over these next 3 shows.
There you go.
It's going to be a lot of fun the next couple weeks, but we are closing in 2 weeks away today from the NFL draft. For Chris Beam and his Beam Roll, for Brian Broaddus, Zach Wolchuk, Aisha Morrison, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. We'll see you next week on the draft show presented by Miller Lite.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!